got my headphone.
Right.
I'm just going to turn the washing machine off. Sorry. It's
all
making rather a lot of noise.
So first things first, let's start off with everybody's wins. Who's had a win this week?
Rush.
Or wins over the recent weeks, because we didn't have a one last week, so it must be before that as well. So who's had a win? Well, we have, but I'm not sure everyone else has. Tomas has.
Two new subscriptions this week. That's about
2 new subscriptions. Well done, Warren. Fantastic
Well
news.
done. That's fantastic.
Really good. Really good.
All right.
Yeah. And Paul, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I need to say I've had a win with my mindset.
Well, that's a step forward, isn't it?
you,
Look at Warren.
well, you'll hear one in a minute. So.
There seems to be a lot of that going on. There must be something catching here. As I'm going to talk about that a bit in a minute. But go on. So what? We're going to hear from you in a second. I'm sure you're going to share.
Yeah.
Tomas, what about you? We know you've had a win this week because we were involved.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm sort of driving, so the weather's not great.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Is your sunroof leaking or something? Because you've got your hood up. It's cold.
He hasn't got any heating in his car.
Oh, well,
that's freezing.
That would explain it then. Sounds like an old car I used to have. And I used to have years and years ago, I had an old VW Beetle. And they had this hot air system because it was air cooled. And it just didn't work. Didn't matter what I did, nothing worked. So in the winter months, it got ice on the inside of the window. But then I was a teenager, so it didn't matter too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Tomas, I stole your thunder. What about your wins this week? That's been a good week for you, I think.
Yeah, we've got a few customers ready to sign up, and we got the partner in during the week as well.
Yeah,
fantastic. Well done.
Yeah. So Tomas is qualified for ECBX, which we're going to cover, and his new partner has got someone who looks like they're going to go partner as well. Yeah. So this is the 120 days beginning to work for someone if you focus on it and you're clear about it when you get them on board. Because the more I do with this, and we do with this, the more important that 120-day step is. You get them through the fast starts, you're going to rank up.
Yeah, it's
simple. Because you've created a new silver in your business. That's 1,500 points across your entire business that you didn't have before. So, David, what about you?
Yeah, we've got one guy called Casey from Dallas in America.
Great.
He's signing up on the 20th. I've been speaking to him for months, but he'll get going on the 20th. I've had a couple of conversations with him over the last few days, and I've just got him making his list. So once he comes on, we can start running with him.
Great.
I've also re-engaged with another guy called David, who in fact came on as a partner early part of COVID, and he was nursing, and he was just inundated, never really got into it.
Yeah.
Just been re-engaging with him, and he's really keen to find out how to get it going now. So I've invited him to the 22nd. Hopefully he can make that and get him to meet you all.
Cool.
Excellent.
Good. Excellent news. Yeah, good. Who else?
We need to push on with some customers this month as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
done.
Underneath everything, of course, the customers are the most important because they're the ones that build the income long term. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But the partners, if they're brought on properly, should be leveraging that relatively rapidly.
Yeah.
And what about the rest of you? Wazama, have you had anything?
You may be driving. I'm not sure.
He's definitely not able to engage. What about you? What about you, Kelly? If you're able, or are you driving as well?
She might be driving too.
Okay, Ruth.
Sure.
Can't hear you, darling.
Can't hear you.
Unmute. Come on. I'm learning to lip read because of my long association with you.
Are you seriously asking me?
Yes, absolutely.
No,
one of these days you're going to come on and say, look, I've signed a partner and I've signed half a dozen customers, and that's where we're all asking. That's where we want you to be. Come on.
Okay. No, nothing.
Nothing. Right. Okay.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Angus, you haven't said much. What about you?
Well, no, not really. I mean, still wrestling with People who don't call me back.
Yeah, well, that's the norm. So,
It is.
you know, you just have to overcome that hurdle. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. It's part of the job. Yeah.
Yes. It's volume as much as anything else, isn't it? Just keep on doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, like we all know, it is a numbers game. And if you've got the numbers, then things happen. If you haven't, you don't. They don't, or they
Yeah.
they don't happen as much and as quickly as you would like. So we've, I think Sue's got some reporting to do.
So really just wanted what
Well, about us. I mean,
about-
because we've not had a meeting for
Yeah.
a fortnight.
So, oh no, we haven't. Of course, we haven't. So yeah, we signed at last. Well, yeah,
End of
last
last
month,
month.
we actually signed 7 within the team. Five in January for us. But you know, some have been partners that have actually come on as a sales rep, and some have been proper partners. You know, that's not wrong, not proper partners, but partners with a pack. But the one of the ones who we signed in the States, Michelle Rawls, who's a nutritionist. She's got an amazing story from, you know, kind of being wheelchair bound with and being told to go home to
Put
get
affairs in order.
her affairs in order, to having a thriving business, nutritional business, and fit and healthy, thankfully. And but she's really kind of gone off like a train. Now, she was registered in Zinzino before, and about 6 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, coming up 5.5, 6 years ago, and then stopped for whatever reason, and but has actually re-signed. And she was stalking me on LinkedIn for a couple of years. I did a couple of podcasts with her and things, and we just really hit it off, which is really great. But what is more important, she's actually signed her first partner, and obviously getting customers on as well. And that first partner, we've just done a Zoom with another prospect in Philippines. So this person, William, who has just joined, he and his wife, Melanie, again, amazing testimony from double transplant, so liver and kidney transplant, literally not being able to function to being fit and healthy, and which is great. His wife was in a COVID coma for 3 months. So she's now no longer a nurse. Her background was nursing. And so she's now looking at this to improve her health and hopefully improve their, and well, not hopefully, definitely improve their finances as well. So it's been a very, very good few weeks, which has been great. And I'm excited to see where all this goes to. So it's, you know, kind of we've been doing meetings with Tomas's new partner, Jerry, who we did one yesterday. We've had great response from that, which is good. And got another second meeting with him today. So yeah, all good. But it's, you know, kind of, it's constantly getting it out there. So, you know, that only happens when you constantly poke. But it's, so you all got to keep poking, so to speak.
Okay, so there have been some wins, there have been some nons, but you know, but this is par for the course. This is kind of what happens. And just a repetition really of store your wins and celebrate them, because they're important to keep your motivation and keep you on track. One of the things, of course, this month there is a bit of an imperative in terms of ECBX for March.
And unusual, because
Very.
they normally do it in May. So maybe we're going to get two.
Well, yeah, don't hold your breath. But
I'm not holding my breath.
My guess is this is a defining year for Zinzino. All the noise coming from Orion, from DAG, from the corporate team, and from the senior leadership is that this is the year in which Zinzino starts to make its mark and goes into real momentum. And we're beginning to see things like that on the director call on Monday? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dag spoke at some length.
Recording, apologies. So I will send that out to you.
Dag spoke at some length about 2024 and what's coming in 2025. One One of the things he talked about was the acquisition of Zervita. You will remember back in midsummer last year, I think it's July, they agreed a letter or issued a letter of intention to buy Zervita. That's been in process for the 6 months, while Zervita has gone through or has decided to enter Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What that means is, in essence, it gives them a hiatus to hide from their creditors in the time they restructure their finances. There is a similar kind of arrangement here in the UK, but it's not quite as well defined as it is in the US. That's actually really good news, because the court in the first week of January validated the loan arrangement that Zinzino had undertaken with Zervita, which is a $4.5 million loan to get them through this transitional period. That's been agreed to. What that means fundamentally is that pretty much no one else can bid for Zervita unless they come in with an absolutely ludicrous offer. That's not likely to happen. So now it's a case of dotting I's, crossing T's, final period of the due diligence. So this gives them the ability to go in and drill in really deep now and just check that everything that they've claimed they've got, they have. There'll be warranties to assure that, and so on, blah, blah. But what the underlying net result of this is that Zervita will double the size of the partnership in the US from the day it's actually acquired for Zinzino. So it already has double the number of partners in the US that Zinzino currently has. So it's going to triple the size of the potential distribution network.
It's a bit like EPBX, but with
difference. But this assumes, of course, that A, the due diligence goes through, and B, those partners who are with Zervita decide and elect to stay there after this transition and then become Zinzino partners. So my expectation is that Orion will be flying back and forward across the pond in order to make that happen.
And I have to say that, and they've got a product which is called Zeal.
Yeah.
It's a powder, and you actually mix it into water. And the powder is designed to give you more energy, and it's completely natural, and it works. It really does. So when I tried a little bit, I literally kind of nicked a bit out of a container that Marco had actually been given. Yeah, thanks, Marco. And I just put it into the bottle of water that I had. And I was feeling at that time, I mean, you know what these conventions are like, they're quite tiring. And, you know, we'd been really busy all day, and it was the end of the day, but it was just the kind of the slot before we then went back and went out to go and get change for the gala dinner and everything. And I was feeling particularly tired, and it was one of those, you know, sitting in training and feeling your eyes going and thinking, oh God, I better not fall asleep here, front row, and
especially as she snores.
Anyway, so I took this, and within 10 minutes, I was buzzing again. I was absolutely buzzing. So, you know, it works. It works. So I think that's a real thing. It will only be available in the States for the initial time, and then I think they'll then bring it out once it's been rebranded. They'll rebrand,
yeah, because of course the product line that they'll keep, whatever that happens to be, and we've got no detail on that at the moment. Apart from it will be Zeal. Definitely will be. That'll all get rebranded, as will the Zealous products. They'll all be rebranded into Zinzino livery, but that'll be a transition because, of course, they've got existing stocks, and they'll roll those out with their existing partnership while they make the conversion. So for Zinzino in the US, this is going to kickstart a growth period for them, and of course, it gives us an ability to help to start to leverage new business there as well, because as we all know, and as my assertion is that Zinzino in the US will eclipse everybody else around the world within a relatively short period of time. Once it takes off there, it's going to go boom, literally. And that's one of the reasons why I think underlying all this, there is so much excitement in, you know, those who know the big picture much better than we do, why there is that excitement about the growth that we're going to see this year. We can build on that if we are doing the right things. That leads me on to the thinking, well, I've not known Zinzino do a March ECBX before. They've
Never.
generally speaking, the standard months in the year have been May, September, and November, which is sandwiching the convention in October, because that builds for the convention and then cements the energy that gets generated by the convention. And traditionally, November has always been the biggest month of the year. This year, because they've got such ambitious goals in terms of hitting, we've got to put on 470,000 new customers to hit the million, because we entered the new year with 530,000 on subscription. So there's a lot to do to hit that million this year. It doesn't actually matter too much if we don't hit it, because it's definitely going to happen in the early part of next year. But if the US does what I think, and what I think everyone else at senior level thinks, then it could be done relatively straightforwardly. And of course, there's also another goal, which is the 50,000 partners. So Zinzino is trying to bring forward that partner recruitment into the spring months as much as into the autumn, because of course you get the multiplier effect as the network expands, then the customers expand and those new partners bring new partners and so on. So if you look at it from a purely theoretical numbers point of view, it's easily doable. Now, of course, reality is somewhat different, but then, you know, we all know that. So this coming March, you qualify this month, really simple qualification, find a partner with an ultimate partner kit. That's the 8 action points you need in order to qualify for ECBX during March. But better to do the partners than actually buy the pack, because there is a pack available to if you don't manage to do the recruitment. And I trust none of you are thinking in that way, because ideally you shouldn't be. Let me just check that I've got it. Let me just pull this up and share it with you. Share screen, and where is it? So just for everyone's benefit, this is the qualification. So it's ultimate partner kit, 8 action equals the 8 action points you need for to qualify during this month for ECBX for next month. That person you bring on with an ultimate partner kit automatically qualifies as a consequence of their purchase of the kit for ECBX during March. So they've got no problem.
So it's not only going to accelerate you, but it's also going to accelerate
Them.
the partner, the new
Exactly.
partner as well, which is a real good incentive.
So
Really good incentive.
absolutely. So ECBX, remember the requirement for ECB, the 100% ECB, is to have 10 customers on subscription, 10 partner subscriptions, 10 customer subscriptions, 10 products, in other words. And that then triples your income for next month. Now, it's not just you and what you do, it's what your partners do. So whatever happens underneath you, you bring on an ECBX partner this month, they bring on their 2, which the plan calls for within the first 60 days. You bring on 2 partners on ultimate kits next month with that new one you brought in this month. That's not just 300 points each and making 6, it's 900. So that's 900 points to watch. So you don't need a lot of these to rank to
Improve your ranks,
yeah, improve your ranks significantly. From, you know, you could easily go silver as a brand new partner with less than 30 days. You could go gold as a brand new partner if the duplication is beginning. Because remember the way that way that works. You're looking for the first leap. In the first 30 days, you're looking for 4 customers. In the first 60 days, you're looking for the first 2 partners. You bring those all in together by accelerating the connection process with the new partner early on. You can do that in a week, because if you do enough, you can do it in a week. As long as that new partner is willing to spend the time, shares the list with you, and focuses on the activity, then you can bring on. So that would have brought on 2 brand new partners, 450 points each, 900 points. You're 450. You're already a silver at that point. Gone, done, dusted,
and not far off gold,
and very close to gold.
Right.
So if those 2 are pulling in a couple as well, or 1 each, then you'll go gold. So you can go from 0 to gold inside, well, with the ECBX, you could actually do executive inside 30 days easily. And for some, you know, we're going to hear that people going diamond and probably director in their first month because of it, if they're busy with, or they're bringing on across people that they've already got. So it's a very, very powerful multiplier, as you all know. What are you doing?
So I was just trying to get to the ECB. It's the collagen boost. So you get
The pack.
yeah. bear
Right.
with
Just
me.
sign back in then.
I'm just
That'll do.
going to.
That's it.
So no, that's not what I want. You've got to go to the shop to show it.
Oh, okay.
So bear with me. So partner kits, go to partner kits and go to the collagen boost ECB kit.
Ah, yeah.
So that's going to give you, it's £300. So it's going to be a bit more in euros and a bit more in dollars, but it also, that is a really good way of doing that. So you're going to get how many? 6 collagen boost, which again is pretty good. And remember, you can sell these as well. So those, you know, that £300 for 6 is actually £50, which is exactly what it would cost as a customer if you were on the subscription, but you can sell them for £70 a pack. Or use them yourself.
Just enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Or use them yourself. Right. We need to crack. I'm going to stop sharing. Bear with me. And we're okay. So where's it's up here. Oh, bloody hell! Stop.
See, I hate Zoom.
Yeah. No, it's fine. You do things like
I hate fish.
right. Paul, I'm going to make you. Paul's going to be talking about Xenogene.
Yeah, this is a product that.
So bear with me.
I don't need to be co-host.
No, you're just talking.
You're just talking, are you?
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Right.
I'm going to hand over to Paul. Paul is a functional medicine practitioner and sports coach and referee and pretty well everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a sports coach, but I'm a football referee and I deal with fitness. Now, before I start this, what I want to say is that I've been using Xenogene since it came out. I think it's a secret weapon, and I think you can make loads of money with this product. Right, and why I think that is that if we think about it, it's all about cell health. It's about prevention and preparation, and we're trying to prevent, in the long run, I suppose, getting cancer. Now we know we can't say that, but if you keep the cells clean, you know what's going to happen, right? You're going to cut right the way down on getting problems like that. Now, you have to be excited about the product, because if you're not excited about the product and you're not using the product, then what I'm going to say is not going to mean a lot. All right. Now, it's let me start by saying this: it's a dietary supplement, but it's more than that. It's something that you can incorporate into a package. Now, we talk about the health protocol and the health protocol plus with the Viva. Well, I talk about the health protocol plus. Right now, who's going to buy it? Because as we know, anything when you start combining products, it works out a lot of money in the end. Okay, but you can't have mental blocks about money. This is something you have to incorporate in your life and go for it. Now, this week, which I forgot to mention, as I've been talking to influencers on Gen Z, right? Don't ask me. Middle 90s to 2010, I think it is. It influences on vegan stuff, because there's another area we don't do. Well, we do, but we don't talk about it too much. And professionals in the gay community as well. So these are huge areas that we can use. Now, my thinking is to use the Xenogene as part of an executive package. So with professionals that earn a lot of money. Now I've started to get access to all these people, right? The thing is, if you want to go pro team, 18 pro team, top team, you can do it very, very quickly, right? by combining the 5 products. You make. I'm gonna start putting packages together for high flying executives, CEOs. I'm going to do it for the legal profession as well. And I know it's going to work. There's no doubt about it, because these people are screaming out. Now, I've spoken to quite a few high executives, and they've said, well, unless you're having a package that is above 2,000, they won't even listen to you. Seriously. You know, if you think, just quickly, just go back to 2008, I earned the most money I ever earned in one of the biggest collapses in history. There's money to be made when things are not good. Trust me. But it's the same all the time, right? So let's talk about Zinzino, this Zinzino gene. It does 3 basic things. And one is support DNA synthesis. Don't go into it because it is fast. But the way, but it promotes cell division. That's one of the biggest things that we know. So if it promotes cell division and it does it safely, you've got the other way is when someone's got cancer, it's a cell division in reverse. It goes from one bad cell to 2 to 4 to 6, and that's how it grows. So we're cleaning out the cells, and this obviously complements the balanced oil and Viva and the Xenobiotic. You've got virtually a complete system to keep your system clean. There was 6 or 7 things in this that I actually broke down each one, but it's not for this. Okay, it would take too long. But one of the ones was seaweed, brown seaweed. That alone is worth its weight in gold. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any names and things like that, but it's one tablet a day. You don't exceed the recommended daily dose. You take it with food. Okay. Obviously, whenever you talk about it, you've got to have a balanced varied diet anyway. These are just the icing on top of the cake, right? Also, you've got to be careful with getting it too cold. I know that I put mine in the fridge and it didn't do it very much good, so I had to throw a packet away. I don't know why I put it in the fridge. It was just a mistake. Luckily, it was only half a packet. But now you can make, and if you're doing executive packages, you can actually charge retail for the first one. So think of 5 products retail. You can make quite a lot of money, especially on the Xenogen. You make £22. Okay, it's also 5 credits, which is brilliant. You know, so you can incorporate it within packages for each individual, because everyone's going to be different. And I was just thinking of the vegan package. Vegan packages could be brilliant. I don't know if anyone's thought about doing it as a package and talking, you know, coming in with the mindset of, this is what I can do for you. Suddenly it hit me this week, and I'm thinking, we're playing too small. You know, we're going. I mean, if you're anything like me, I've been going to people with no money. You don't know you're doing that until you actually look at it. And with this, it's a class product, right? I wrote down quite a thing. I think it's vital. I think it's a top-notch product. And you have to approach people with money, as I said. It's a faster way. It is a faster way of getting to everything. Right now, you're not going to spend all your time doing this, because obviously you've got to do the partner side. But it's something to think about, and I think this is the missing piece in the immune system jigsaw, without a doubt. I've taken the five or six. I've done more than 5 products, but I've been taking the 5 products for a good couple of years now together, and every day I'm bouncing off the walls. Seriously. That's why you need to take it. If you're not taking it, you've got to be taking it. You know, it's, you know, how would you feel if you doubled your business overnight? Because that's what you can do with it. That's simple. I don't want to go too technical on it because it's pointless. The only things you've got to be careful of.
Paul, just talk about the technicals ingredients bit for a minute and the effect of this at the cellular level. You talk about gene splitting, or sorry, cell splitting.
Yeah.
You know what? When I recall Paul talking about this originally, he was talking about the autophagy process. You know, the basic
Yes, that's right.
cleaning
Yeah.
out of
Mhm.
old cells, dead cells, senescent cells, effectively those that aren't functioning anymore, which is ordinarily something you don't experience unless you fast, because your body doesn't do it, although it's a natural process. And the vast majority of people don't like to fast very much, but Xenogene is, as I understand it, one of those, is a product designed to help to do that, is clear out the old cells. And yes, you are right in that sense. It's
but it also one of the biggest things it does is it deals with free radicals, and that's
right.
huge when you're talking about becoming really ill. Okay, it just keeps them in place. It doesn't allow them to bounce about, and that is basically what you need to do if you want to have proper cell division. Now, proper cell division, what that does, it keeps you healthy. You need to keep replacing cells all the time. Now, we know there's trillions of cells, and each cell has got its own life. Some like blood, they're 120 days. You've got some that only last a day. You've got others that last a lifetime. So that's why it's so important, because it takes care of all of these cells, right? And it is like the big icing on the cake for everything else that we've got.
I did the course initially when we first got on it, which was, I think it's 4 a day for a fortnight. Is that right? Yeah. So I needed to get reminded to kind of kickstart the system in terms of it clearing old cells out. Now, I personally didn't experience any particular change, which I think is one of the challenges with this particular product, because people don't notice a rapid change, which you do with balance. Well, maybe I didn't, but maybe Sue did. Perhaps you'd share that.
One of the things, because it's got this foicugin in.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
the seaweed.
Yeah, that's the seaweed. So the brown seaweed, it acts like Teflon. And so what happens is, or what happened to me, I had some plaque on the inside of my lower teeth, etc. And that just started falling away, literally falling away, and in chunks. And not that it was that horrendous, but it was just like, wow. So, you know, think dental surgeons. Yeah. You know, dental problem. I mean, when I go to the dentist, they usually tell me your teeth, you know, when was the last time you had oral hygiene? And I went, years. And they said, well, what are you doing? Because it's clean.
Brown seaweed.
Clever stuff.
Yeah. And also it's the your whole body's made up of the extracellular matrix, which is the binding thing. Okay. Yeah. So so basically that keeps that in one place, and that's huge because that holds your whole body together.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. That's
Thank you
very
so
helpful.
much for sharing, Paul. I appreciate it.
Warren's going to regale us with his expertise when he's not watching his daughter playing some game that none of us in the UK know anything about.
Unfortunately, they're not winning.
And that's not necessarily disappointing, but it's the taking
maybe that's what I can do. I can educate you a little bit on corfball next week.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. I've got a session I wanted to pick up on of things that we've learned recently. Learned in terms of revisited and learned very strongly. I've been sharing this on an individual basis with people because it makes such a difference if you do it properly and consistently. And that is understanding where the buyer comes from, not us as sellers. Because what tends to happen, we all know, we start to sell as soon as someone says any expression of interest. What do? You know, the mouth opens and never stops. And I'm as guilty as everyone else of talking too much about, you know, how excited we are of what we're involved in, especially with Xeno, because it makes such a difference in people's lives. But actually, that's entirely the wrong way around to do it. And the older I get, the more I realize it's really nothing to do with me. It's much more about them. and you have to answer, you have to find the answers to questions. Sue's just decided to leave. It's probably something I said. And I've picked up on a couple of guys who are extremely good exponents of this. Yes, they are sales trainers, but they are also talking about basic psychology in terms of the way people respond to their environment and the perception they have around them. In other words, it's that people always filter information. You know, you're receiving information that you actually pay attention to. That's something you set up. Your body, you know, your mind doesn't notice things it doesn't want to notice because it's just doesn't. You've trained it not to do that. So I put together a quick presentation on exactly how this works, to take you through the steps of what happens in a customer's mind as they move through the buying process, and what we are responsible for as people sharing with them. This is absolutely particularly relevant to bringing on partners, because we're asking someone to become a partner with us and to commit time, commit some money, because time is money. We're not asking them to bet the farm on it in terms of, you know, like you would if you were setting up a McDonald's, because you need £1 million to put down. It's kind of focuses the mind pretty much. But what we are asking them to do is to make a commitment. And we're also asking them to look at the 120 days and make the commitment to that 120-day period. So what's become clear to me is that we don't drill enough into the people's motivation and talk to them about the consequences of that motivation. So I'm going to share my screen because I put together a PowerPoint on this because it helps me to stay on track, and hopefully it will. I can then share it with you all, and hopefully it will give you some help on being better at doing this. Now, Sue and I have been practicing this in the last week to 10 days because we discussed it long and hard and debunked or looked at, forensically analyzed some of the things that those trainers out there are doing. And then we started to look at how we could implement that ourselves. And this is what we come up with. So can you see my screen now? All right, hang on. Yes, you should be able to see it now. Yes. So what I decided to do was put together something on the emotional stages of a buyer's decision making, because at the end of the day, people don't choose with this, they choose with this. It's always an emotional decision to do something because it satisfies some emotional need. Now, a lot of the time when we start to share with people, they've got no obvious need. But what they do have is a desire for themselves to achieve certain things. And so it's when you start to talk with someone, one of your friends, somebody that you're third party relating to in terms of a partner who's come on, who's using the three-way call process, this is particularly relevant. You will see it right at the beginning of the team presentation, where that presentation starts with, what do you really want? What do you want? You know, look at this from the perspective of who you are and what you want in your life. You know, what would you have if money were no object? What would you be if you were achieving your absolute dream? You know, in your idle moments, and you write your ideal lifestyle, what is it? You know, we're beginning to play to the deepest motivations that people actually have for themselves, because that, for us as looking for partners, is a really important thing. It covers this word why that you will hear a lot being bandied about by saying, well, what's your why and what do you want? Well, people don't know. They first of all don't want to tell you initially because there's no relationship, and secondly, they very often don't know. I don't really know what I want, you know, because they've got no structured thought about the things they actually want to have in their life. So when we're beginning to present this kind of potential to people, they start out from a position of, well, pretty much kind of indifference initially, because their emotional state is it's neutral. They're comfortable because they're already in a comfort zone of sorts. So it's a status quo. And when they start to get exposed to what we pour on them when we get invited to talk is, I don't need this. Everything is fine as it is. So when we dangle a carrot of, you know, you can make $1 million a year, but people go, yeah, really? Well, there's lots of stuff you can make $1 million a year of, but that's not me. So how do we expose that potential need? Because what we have to do, or the potential need they have, and the potential that they can have it delivered via the vehicle we've got, which is Enzino. Because the strategy for us should be to create curiosity, highlight their potential problems, and drill into those in a way which exposes what they really need, what they really feel they want in their lives. Because everybody's different. You know, we're not all, we don't all want to be billionaires. We just don't. People don't. Otherwise, they would be. So this is the basic state they're in when we start to talk with them. So our job's to uncover. It's to uncover them and their motivation and their emotional state of mind. We could begin to create some awareness. You know, they're kind of start to feel. So let me ask a few questions here. Can I have that? Is it that one?
No,
Oh no, it's down here. Sorry. So what Sue and I did in order to help us guide on this is we created a little questionnaire for ourselves to act as a prompt. So we're beginning to start to work through that process by prompting things like, you know, what made you look out for a business opportunity right now? And they may not be. So if we're approaching someone who's on someone's list, we're saying, look, are you open to look at an opportunity right now? Yeah. Why would you do that? What is it? How are things with you right now? You know, is the job going well? You're digging into where they are and what their motivation is. So if money were no object, would you be doing what you are right at this moment? Well, I don't know many people who say they would be doing what they are. So we created a little questionnaire, which I'll send to you. I'll give you that. But coming back into the psychology, they're kind of maybe in an emotional concern. They're intrigued. They're uncertain. They're certainly not sure there's a relevance for them in it. And the buyer's thoughts are, maybe my current situation isn't as good as I thought. When you start to drill into who they are. So, you know, doing what you are right now, 5 years out, are you going to have achieved your goals, your aspirations, the things you'd really like for yourself? You know, is your job going to deliver on that? I've never had a yes, ever, when I've asked that question. So here's the reinforcer to that. What are the consequences of not doing something then to affect that? Why is it important to you? Go back to Alan Pease. Questions are the answers. You know, which is your priority? The four main questions he talks about. So the buyer's thoughts are, my current situation isn't as good as I thought, or could be. Maybe I should be looking for something. Maybe I should be changing because, you know, we can't afford that holiday I'd like to have. I'd really like to put the kids through private school, but I can't afford to do that either. You know, and actually, I'm going to struggle to make the mortgage payment this month. You know, those kinds of things pop up as you begin to drill into what people's motivation is. So we're asking these questions in order to reveal the gap between where they are and where they'd like to be. So, you know, what would if money were no object, where would you be now? I don't need to know the answer to that. Just let it run through your mind. You know, your ideal day, what would that be? Lying on a beach, getting a tan. You know, walking up a mountain. I don't care if it's pouring rain. There is fantastic stuff in all of that. Let me get rid of that, which I have now done. So it's drilling into their questions and listening to the answers. And the one thing you don't do is when someone says, well, what is it? Is you start to open your mouth. Before I get to that, let me ask you this. Always bring it back to them, because the technique here is getting them to continue to open up. So the third step is what you might call consideration and exploration, and then beginnings of expression of emotional interest. So if I could show you a way to how to build something part-time alongside what you're doing right now, first of all, would you have time to do that? Have you got, I don't know, 5-10 hours a week that you could build something alongside what you do, so you're not risking yourself financially? You've still got the bills covered and doing those kind of. Have you got some time? So if there was something that appealed to you to do, then you consider that. So could this work for me? So could I do something like that? Because our sales strategy is to build the trust and share the testimonials of others. So that's why the third three-way call helps, and the third-party references help. The Facebook page on the team helps. It's all validation. And then we can begin to align this with their needs, because it can deliver on their expectations if they're putting in a bit of effort. You know, we have lots of people who are working part-time. This is not the primary effort, but it can become the primary income. Remember, my testimonial is very simple about the whole reason I got into networking was because over 3.5 years, Sue's part-time network income overtook my full-time income. And I was doing a good 60, 70 hours a week. And she was doing 15 when I worked it out. And quite tritely, I said to her, why didn't you work harder? And so we decided, well, long and hard, we talked about it before I actually did it. But that was triggered by an event in 1997. We'd been away to America for 3 weeks over Christmas spend Christmas with some friends of ours who'd migrated to the US. Had a fabulous time, really, really good time. Got back, came back to UK, went to work on the 4th of January, and my business partner had made some unbelievably stupid decisions while I was away. So much so we were in a huge financial black hole. He pissed off our major client, and that was the end of that relationship. He was very good at pissing off people, by the way. I won't go into the detail of it, but it took me 6 months to work my way out. And I came back with Sue on the evening of the 4th, and Sue said, oh, how was work today? And I said, don't fucking know. Because it was just the worst possible event that could have happened after 3 weeks of enjoyment. You know, it wasn't the icing in any way whatsoever. But it transformed my life and Sue's life, because our business took off when we partnered up, literally. So you don't quite know what's going on, and it's our job to expose it. So we expose the need, and then the rest follows. So buyer's thoughts are, could this work for me? Is this the right solution? Well, it's our job to help him decide it is, or her. And of course, now we're building it with trust, and we're sharing the testimonials and aligning it with their needs. Step 4 is the investment, their emotional investment. Remember, we're not seeing anything, we're not seeing any evaluation going on just yet. It's much more, we're tweaking away at the base motivations of what that person wants. So their emotional state, we should be seeing a certain lift in energy here, because they're thinking there are possibilities. But there's also, it's accompanied by a sense of fear, because, you know, it's outside the comfort zone. We're pushing them to think bigger, to think outside where they are. But the kernel of it is that we're not asking them to stretch so far it's all or nothing at this moment. Some decide that is the way, but there aren't many who do that. And when they do, they tend to be all in a way which is so committed, things happen fast. The vast majority, probably 97% of people start on a part-time basis, and they gradually build the expectation in the business alongside it, as long as the focus remains. So the buyer's thoughts were, I want this, but what if it doesn't work? What if I can't make it work? There's always that, there's the element of doubt, and it's our role there to support them with the activity that we have in terms of the team support. You know, listen, that's why, again, you come back to the Kirsten, well, the way Kirsten put that together is really, really good, because we talk about the brand partner and the strategic partner, and the strategic partner provides the support, literally centuries of experience that you tap into when you become part of the team in order to help you build your organization alongside the brand partner, which is Enzino. You've got all the training support and everything you need in order to build a successful organization. Our strategy is to show the proof of the results and paint a vision of success, because that's what people want. They want what they want to see. They want to see access to is that potential. So now to get to that point of having thought, well, you know what, maybe there really is something here for me. And the logic begins to start to happen. So there's an interchange going on now between heart and head. And the existing paradigm begins to get in the way, because it's a process of rational evaluation based on existing understanding and image of themselves. So remember, nothing's changed in the head so far. Nothing's changed in terms of the personality. The subconscious programming is still exactly the same at this moment. We're asking them to make a leap of emotional faith that it can deliver on their deeply held desire to actually get some change. And now the head's in the way because that filtering. Well, I've never done anything like this before. You know, I haven't got any experience in this. I don't know enough. All these logical barriers get put in the way because that's not driven by strong enough emotion unless we built it. See, if you go straight to this state, we do a dry description of what Zeno is, how it functions, and all that kind of thing. Someone's looking at that from an emotional perspective. I can't do that. That's not who I am. I've never done that. You know, can't see myself doing that. So we have to position it in a way which shows them that what they can have is greater than what they think the problem's going to be. So do I, and then, you know, they go through this thought of, do I really need this? Can I afford to do this? Our job to do that by providing the logical benefits, the cost savings, the return on investment, the effect, you know, all the things that we're talking about. Look, 5-10 hours a week. If you've got more, Sue did it brilliantly yesterday in this conversation with the guy, with the new partner in the US, William, who, by the way, is going to be a star because he's already got the mindset thing down. Very first thing he said to this guy, Glenn, was, hey, Glenn, what do you want in your life? I thought, oh, what a great opener. Fantastic opener. And he's already associated with this chap because of what he does as a business. And so he instantly positioned it from an emotional perspective about what he wanted. And they picked up on that and drilled into it really, really well. And then began to talk about how to use time. And Sue said to him, or asked him, how much time have you got a week? And the guy surprisingly said, well, I could probably spend about 20 hours. And here was his expectation when they talked about the money. Oh, I don't know, $500 a month extra would be helpful.
$300 to $500, he said, yeah. So $300 to $500, because obviously he's in Philippines, so he would be not. It's not an open market at the moment, but it was, so it's on the global shipping. So everything's done in US dollars on the global shipping market. And so that, you know, that comes with its challenges, but they're limited in what they can have. So they can only have the balance oil and serum, which are the easy things to get approved. And all they can do is come in on basically what's called a better body kit, which is a 2 month supply of product and 2 tests.
So the entry level is really simple, really easy. And what you do, and actually what Sue did was she started to talk about the fact you can't get this and you can't get that and you can't. And I'm thinking, no, don't talk about that. Just talk about what you can have, because this is so, you know, now it's simple, really simple. Yeah. This is the entry point, and this is what we do together.
And I didn't do it perfectly, I should say.
No, but then
no, I probably rushed it a little bit more, but Nigel couldn't hear the other half of the conversation because he was so quietly spoken. It was a real struggle to hear him. But he, you know, he was wanting to change. You know, we went through if you could earn an extra $300 to $500 a month, how would that change your life? And he said, well, it would change my life dramatically.
Yeah.
Just that small amount. And so, you know, kind of when I was saying, so if I could show you a way with 20 hours that you could actually achieve maybe around about between 1,000 and 2,000 a month, would that make a difference to you? And he just went, yeah. So we've got another call with him today.
Expectations.
And sorry, not today. So Monday. And then the second person, we did another one exactly the same, asking questions, who's a construction worker. He's got a construction business in Ireland, and on behalf of Jerry, new partner. And we've got another call set for him today. I've given him the fast starts to have a look at and show him what is available for him and the business presentation. So, and I've used the team one because it's so much shorter.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's actually better structured than the Zinzino one, in my opinion,
humble opinion.
specifically because it starts out with that bit at the front in talking about what people want, who they'd like to be, what they'd like to have, where they'd like, what they'd like to end up with. Because that's the positioning statement that we're talking about here that starts off in the way that people are thinking initially. So let me move on quickly because we're going to run out of time otherwise. Then we get this fear of loss coming in. So remember, when someone comes on, when someone gets to this point, there's fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
You haven't moved on.
Oh, I haven't? What do you mean I haven't moved on?
You haven't.
Yes, I have.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
beg
fear
your
of loss, final hesitation. Fear, uncertainty, doubt, FUD, it's known as. And that FUD's also created because of their existing way of looking at themselves. Their existing image is filtering the information in a way that is essentially saying, I can't at this stage. And that's our job, to make it feel safe for them, to make them think that it can. So what if I make the wrong choice? It's always the thing. And of course, that impacts on others potentially. What will they think of me? That's a different issue in many ways. But of course, with what we're doing here, then we have to reassure the team, the support, the time and the risk. All of that is relatively low by comparison with doing something else for themselves and setting up their own business. And we reinforce the value, the help and the support, the help that we're giving people on an ongoing basis. So the commitment side of it then becomes, this is what happens when we get a new partner. Excitement, nervousness, satisfaction. I'm doing this, a commitment. There is an initial emotional commitment. And of course, we have to welcome them and bring them on board. We've got a few days in which to build on this and what's gone before it in order to stop people from effectively becoming at risk of not staying. Because the last thing that comes into play is what always used to be called, in my day, post-purchase dissonance. i.e., it's buyer's remorse, as they call it. The emotional state is relief or potential regret. And this is why we don't leave them alone. We should not leave people alone when they start to make calls. Because the more you leave them alone, the more they'll talk, the more they'll start to sell what we have, and the more rejection they will experience. Rejection of the idea because it's mishandled in terms of the approach. So we should always work with people through this process. And I've shifted my focus completely. I'm not selling Zinzino to them at all. I don't start anything talking about Zinzino with anything. All I'm talking about is them. I just want to find out about them. I want to find out what motivates them, what they're looking for, what their base motivation is in terms of where they'd like to end up, what the goals are for the next 5 years, 10 years. I'm tweaking away at their base fundamental motivations, because that's the bit that's going to shift them towards doing something ultimately. So I'm taking Zinzino out. And when anyone asks me a question, well, tell me more about, before I do that, let me just ask you another question. Always have another question ready to go back to that, because there are two sides of this equation. One is exposing what they think they want. And two is exposing what the consequences of them not getting it are. And those two things together are so important to evaluate. Because when you do that, it positions what they really, really want. So if someone says, look, I want to be a millionaire, and they say, well, okay, what's the consequences of not getting that? Well, it doesn't really matter because, I'd have tried. That's not their base motivation. There's something else going on. And very often it's not money. Money is just the measure by which it takes part. So the buyer's thoughts are, did I make the right choice? And we have to reinforce that by proving the system for customers within a few days, maximum a few days, 4 customers, ideally 2 partners within the same period. It works. So we prove the case instantly. And of course, we can only do that if we're following up, we're providing the guidance, we're putting them through the system, we're onboarding them properly, and we're helping them to manage the first 120 days. And that's the real thing here. So how this all helps? Buyers think emotionally first. Remember that. They've always been driven by emotion, and they justify it later, logically. there's always the fear of making the wrong decision. And it's stronger than their excitement initially because it's outside the paradigm. Third thing is people avoid pain more than they seek pleasure. That's a contradiction, but it's all about moving towards or away from something. And the last thing is helping a buyer move through these emotional stages effectively turns interest into commitment. Because if you do this in the right way, then the commitment's solid. And the commitment to doing the work, if you've described it correctly, is also solid. And that's something that's fundamental to building success the first 120 days, as I've been talking about. So I hope that helps. I'm going to, let me stop sharing. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's the first time it's done that. So it automatically stopped it for me. So I hope that's helped. And I will share that presentation and the questionnaire that Sue and I created together, because instead of responding to someone when they ask a question, you ask another one. And you keep doing that until you fundamentally understand from them what it is they're after. When you understand what that is, then you gradually move in towards describing what we do, how we work together. And you get it, and it's always about reflecting it back to them in terms of their own need. So we're over time. I'm sorry. I've rolled over by 3 minutes.
I was going to say one final thing. When someone has actually gone through that process with you and they're kind of saying, yes, I'd like to go ahead. I always used to say, and I was the best closer when we had the salons, I was the best closer at selling products. And it was a case of, is there anything else we need to know, you need to know before we complete the registration? Because if you don't ask, you won't
don't get.
End of story. And
but you have to be prepared for someone's wanting to ask and know
Yeah.
more, because that's a really good close in that, well, I'm giving you the option to answer some more. I'll answer more questions. Tell me what you don't understand. It pre-invites the objections.
so as long as you're happy to kind of handle those objections if they have them, which hopefully they won't. But you know, kind of, and you know, doing what Dave says, let me do this for you. I love that, as you know, because it's just so simple to then send them a video, and that's exactly what I did with both those people yesterday. So have a great week. We're at Dr. Paul Clayton tomorrow at 2 o'clock in London, so excited for that. Be nice to see him again, and have a great week. If you're, I think there's a few tickets left if you need to have those, and you'll find it in the Teams in Zeno UK. Have to scroll down a bit, and it will be on there. So have a good day.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Onwards and upwards.
See you soon.
Bye all.